In this episode, we're going to talk about why your Facebook ad might be getting clicks, but not sales, and why the problem has nothing to do with your creative or your targeting. I know that sounds crazy. You're probably thinking, wait, if my ad is getting clicks, isn't that the whole point? Isn't that what we're paying for? Well, here's the thing. Most supplement brands think cold traffic and warm traffic buy the same way. They don't. And this misunderstanding is costing you somewhere between 60 and 70% of your potential revenue. Let me paint you a picture. Sending cold traffic directly to your product page is like proposing marriage on a first date. Think about that for a second. You just met someone. You had a nice conversation. There's some interest there. And then boom, you drop down on one knee and ask them to spend the rest of their life with you. What happens? They run. They think you're insane. It doesn't matter how great you are or how perfect you might be for each other. The timing is completely wrong. That's exactly what's happening with your supplement funnel right now. Here's my promise to you. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why the page after the click matters more than the ad itself. You'll know exactly how cold traffic psychology differs from warm traffic psychology. And you'll see why the 4 supplement buying forces, trust, belief, desire, and hope have to be activated in a completely different order, depending on where your traffic is coming from. Welcome to Health Business Mastery, the Creative Thirst podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Hewitt. So let's start with the scenario that I see play out with supplement brands every single week. You finally crack the ad. The creative is stopping the scroll. The hook is working. Your cost per click is down. You're feeling good. Traffic is flowing. But then crickets. The traffic hits your product page and bounces. Maybe 1 to 2% convert if you're lucky. More likely, it's 0.7% or 0.9%, and you're wondering why you're even running ads at all. So what do? You blame the ad. You fire the agency. You try a new creative. You test a different hook. You change the image. You tweak the copy. Rinse and repeat. And here's what kills me. The ad wasn't the problem. The ad did its job. It got the click. The problem is what happened after that click. Let me explain why this keeps happening. There's an invisible mismatch that most supplement marketers completely miss. Your ad is speaking to someone who just discovered they have a problem. Your product page is speaking to someone who's ready to buy. Those are 2 completely different people psychologically. It's an awareness gap. Cold traffic from Facebook doesn't know you. They don't trust you. And they definitely aren't ready to hand over their credit card to a brand they discovered 30 seconds ago while scrolling through their feed. Now, this is especially problematic for supplements, and here's why. Unlike buying shoes or a lint roller or a desk organizer, supplements require both functional convincing and emotional buy-in. Remember, supplements sit right in the middle of functional and emotional purchases. They're not purely one or the other. So what actually happens in this broken funnel? Someone sees your ad about joint pain. They click because they're curious. They land on a page with a buy button and 47 5-star reviews and a countdown timer. And their brain screams, this is a sales page, and they bounce. They're not ready for that. They weren't mentally prepared to be sold to. They thought they were going to learn something. Instead, they got hit with what feels like a used car salesman. Let's talk about the cost of getting this wrong, because it's massive. First, you're burning ad budget on traffic that was never going to convert. Not because the traffic is bad, not because the people aren't interested, but because you're asking them to make a decision they're not ready to make. Second, you think your ads don't work when actually your funnel psychology is broken. So you keep throwing money at new creatives, new agencies, new targeting strategies, when the real problem is 3 inches to the right of the ad. It's the landing experience. Third, you keep optimizing the wrong thing. You keep optimizing the ad instead of optimizing the post-click experience. And fourth, your competitors who understand this, They're eating your lunch with the same exact traffic sources you're using. Same Facebook platform, same audience, same cost per click. But they're converting at 3 to 5% while you're stuck at 1%. And the difference isn't the ad, it's what happens after. Now, let me break down the fundamental difference between cold and warm traffic psychology. Because once you understand this, everything else clicks into place. Warm traffic has already moved through 3 critical shifts. First, they know you exist. They have awareness. They've seen your brand before. Maybe they visited your site. Maybe they watched a video. Maybe they read an article you published. They're familiar with you. Second, they've started to trust you. They have credibility in their mind about who you are. You're not just some random supplement company that popped up in their feed. You've demonstrated expertise or authority or alignment with their values. Third, they believe your solution might work. They have hope. They've been educated on your unique mechanism. They understand why your approach is different from everything else they've tried. Cold traffic has none of these things. 0. They just saw your ad 30 seconds ago. They don't know if you're legitimate or a scam. They're in research mode, not buying mode. They need education before they need a checkout button. And this is where it gets really interesting when we map this to the 4 supplement buying forces. For cold traffic, the forces are completely out of order from what your product page assumes. Let me show you where cold traffic actually is when they click your ad. Desire, maybe. Your ad triggered something. They have a problem they want solved. That's why they clicked. But it's not a strong desire yet. It's more like a spark of interest. Hope, 0. They don't know if your solution works yet. They haven't even heard what your solution is. Trust, negative. I'm serious. It's not neutral. It's negative. They're actively skeptical. They've been burned before by supplement companies making big promises. They assume you're probably lying until you prove otherwise. Belief, not even close. They don't believe this will work for them. They might believe it works for other people in the testimonials, but for them personally, not yet. Now here's where your product page assumes they are. High desire, ready to buy now. Credit card in hand, high hope. Your ingredients are the answer they've been searching for. High trust. Those 5-star reviews prove everything. The money-back guarantee seals the deal. High belief. This will work for me specifically. See the problem? You're asking someone to jump from stage 1 awareness to stage 5 purchase in 1 click. That's not how human psychology works. That's not how buying decisions happen, especially not for supplements. This is where the advertorial comes in. And I want to be really clear about what an advertorial actually does, because most people misunderstand its role. An advertorial doesn't sell, it educates. It doesn't ask for money. It asks for attention. It doesn't showcase your product. It showcases the problem and the mechanism. Let me break down how an advertorial builds each of the 4 buying forces in the right order for cold traffic. First, it builds trust. And it does this in a really specific way. The editorial format gives you borrowed credibility. It looks like an article, not an ad. When someone lands on what looks like a blog post or a news article, their guard comes down. They're not in sales resistance mode anymore. They're in learning mode. Educational content positions you as someone who's helping, not selling. You're giving them information they actually need. You're explaining something they didn't understand before. That builds trust. Scientific explanations create a logical foundation. You're not just making claims. You're showing them the mechanism. You're explaining how the body works. You're teaching them something real. And this is a big one. Common enemy positioning. We're on the same side against big pharma, against the companies that don't care about your health, against the misleading information that's kept you stuck. This creates what I call pushing trust. It pushes them toward you because you're aligned against a shared enemy. Second, the advertorial creates hope. This is the second pushing force. It explains the root cause they didn't know about, not just the symptoms, not just the surface level problem, the actual underlying mechanism that's been causing their issue. It introduces the mechanism that makes the solution work. This is your unique mechanism. This is the thing that all the other solutions were missing. This is the breakthrough. It shows them why other things failed. And this is critical. It wasn't them. It wasn't their fault. They didn't fail. They just didn't have the right mechanism. The solutions they tried before were incomplete. Then it presents your unique mechanism as the key they've been missing. Not aggressively, not with a hard sell, just as a natural conclusion to the education you just provided. Third, the advertorial addresses belief. This is one of the pulling forces. It works with existing beliefs instead of fighting them. If they believe that supplements don't work, you don't argue with that. You agree. Most supplements don't work. Here's why. Then you show them why yours is different. It validates their experience. You're not crazy. Here's why it hasn't worked before. I see you. I understand what you've been through. Your frustration is legitimate. It reframes failure. You didn't have the right mechanism. It's not that you're broken. It's not that nothing works for you. It's that you were missing this one specific piece. And it builds the belief that this approach is different, not through hype, through logic, through explanation, through education. Fourth, the advertorial amplifies desire. The second pushing force. It agitates the problem they're already feeling. It makes it more real, more tangible, more urgent. It makes the future state more vivid. What does life look like when this problem is solved, not just functionally, socially, emotionally? It connects all three dimensions of desire. The functional desire, this is what the supplement does. The social desire, this is how it affects your life and relationships. The emotional desire, this is how you'll feel. And it creates urgency around how long will you let this continue? Not fake scarcity, real urgency, the cost of inaction. Now, let me show you how this works in practice with the psychological journey from ad to advertorial to product page. The ad's job is really simple. Stop the scroll, call out the problem, create curiosity about the mechanism, get the click. That's it. The ad is not trying to sell. It's trying to get attention and earn a click. The advertorial's job is to meet them where they are. They're problem aware. They're solution curious. They clicked because something resonated. Now you need to take them on a journey. You explain the root cause in a new way, something they haven't heard before, a fresh angle on why they're struggling. You introduce the mechanism without naming your product yet. This is key. You're not selling at this point. You're teaching. You're building the case for why this mechanism matters. You build just enough trust and hope to make them want to learn more, not to buy, to learn more, to take the next step. And you create micro commitments along the way. Keep reading, click to the next section. Watch this short video. Each small yes builds momentum. Then, and only then, does the product page do its job. Now they're warm. Now they're ready. You reinforce the mechanism they just learned about. You show proof that it works. Social proof, scientific proof, results proof. You make the offer. You handle objections. You close the sale. See how different this is from ad straight to product page? You're respecting the psychology of how people actually make decisions. Let me give you some real examples so you can see this in action. First example, a joint pain supplement. Here's the bad funnel. Cold traffic goes straight to the product page, and the ad says, suffering from joint pain, try our turmeric formula. They click. The product page says, buy now, 5,000 5-star reviews, 60-day guarantee, limited time offer, act now. Bounce rate, 85%, maybe worse. Here's the good funnel. Cold traffic goes to an advertorial first. The ad says, the real reason your joints hurt and why glucosamine doesn't work. They click. The advertorial says, new research reveals joint pain isn't about cartilage breakdown. It's about chronic inflammation in the synovial fluid. Here's why every joint supplement you've tried has failed. They didn't address the inflammation. They focused on cartilage. But that's not where the pain is coming from. Then it explains the mechanism. What is synovial fluid? Why does it get inflamed? What happens when inflammation becomes chronic? How does this create the pain you feel every morning when you wake up? 4 minutes of reading. Building trust through science. Building hope through a new mechanism they've never heard before. Then a soft call to action. One supplement contains the exact anti-inflammatory compound shown to reduce synovial inflammation in clinical trials. See how it works. Now they click to the product page, and they're warm. They understand the mechanism. They trust that you know what you're talking about. They have hope that this might actually work. They want your solution. Conversion rate, 3 to 5%, sometimes higher. Same traffic source, same ad budget, completely different results. Second example, the probiotic market. I want to tell you what Onnit does. Onnit is a $28 million supplement company. They're not small. They know what they're doing. They don't send cold Facebook traffic to product pages, ever. They send it to an advertorial that looks like a blog article. Clean design. Looks editorial. Lots of white space. Feels like content, not advertising. The advertorial builds credibility through education. It explains the gut-brain connection. It teaches them about the microbiome. It shows them why most probiotics fail, because they die in stomach acid before reaching the intestines. It explains the mechanism. Different strains do different things. Delivery method matters. CFU count isn't everything. Then it transitions to the product page, and by that point, the visitor is educated, trusting, hopeful, and ready. It's a 3-level funnel. Ad to advertorial to product. Now, why does this work so well specifically for probiotics? There's a massive trust issue in the probiotic space. The supplement industry is full of garbage probiotics that don't do anything. People know this. They're skeptical. There's a belief issue. Most people have tried probiotics that didn't work, so they don't believe probiotics work at all. You have to overcome that. There's a hope issue. They need a new reason to believe. Different strains, better delivery method, higher quality sourcing, something that makes this different from the probiotic that failed them last year. And you need to amplify desire. The advertorial makes the gut health connection to energy, mood, immunity, weight management more tangible. It's not just about digestion. It's about how you feel every single day. The advertorial does all of this. The product page can't. The product page assumes they already believe. The advertorial builds the belief first. Now, let me show you what not to do, because I see this mistake constantly. Here's the typical supplement brand mistake. They have brilliant ad creative, really good, stops the scroll, gets clicks, cold traffic clicks, and it lands on flash sale, 40% off, buy now, limited time, countdown timer, act fast, don't miss out. The psychological response in the visitor's brain is immediate. This is a scam. They just want my money. This is exactly like every other sketchy supplement company I've seen bounce. Why does this fail against the 4 forces? Trust is destroyed instantly by aggressive sales tactics. You went from 0 trust to negative trust in half a second. Belief. They don't believe this works. The discount actually makes it worse. It makes the product look cheap. It makes them think, if this actually worked, why would you need to discount it so heavily? Hope, there's no mechanism explained. There's no reason to believe this is different from anything else. It's just another supplement with a sale price. Desire, maybe they wanted a solution when they clicked the ad, but not this solution. Not from someone screaming at them with red countdown timers and flashing banners. This approach might work for warm traffic. It might work for someone who already knows you, already trusts you, already believes in your product, and just needs a reason to buy today instead of tomorrow. The discount works there. But for cold traffic, it's poison. It destroys any chance you had of building the trust and belief you need to make the sale. Now, let me tell you why supplement marketers keep missing this. Most supplement brands come from one of two backgrounds. First, the DTC e-commerce playbook. They learned marketing from Shopify courses and Facebook ad trainings that teach you how to sell fashion, home goods, impulse purchases. And that playbook works for those products, but it doesn't work for supplements. Why? Because supplements aren't impulse purchases. Nobody impulse buys a probiotic. Nobody sees an ad for ashwagandha and thinks, oh, I need that right now. Let me buy it immediately. That's not how supplement buying psychology works. Second background, the Amazon mindset. Product page optimization, 5-star reviews, competitive pricing. And on Amazon, this works. But here's the difference. Amazon traffic is warm. They searched for turmeric supplement. They know what they want. They're comparing options. They're ready to buy. Facebook traffic is cold. They were watching cat videos. Your ad interrupted them. They clicked because they were curious. They're not ready to buy. They don't even know what they want yet. You can't use the same strategy for both types of traffic. The psychology is completely different. Now, let me connect this to marketplace sophistication because this matters more as markets mature. In stage 1 and stage 2 markets, you can sometimes get away with ad straight to product page. The market hasn't heard it all before. The claims are fresh. The promise is new. The mechanism is novel. You can state your claim and people believe you. But stage 3 and stage 4 markets, that's where supplements live. The market is jaded. They've heard every claim. Supports joint health. Promotes healthy digestion. Boosts energy levels. They've seen it 1,000 times. They need the mechanism explanation. They need to understand why this works when everything else failed. They need the education. The advertorial is where you deliver that unique mechanism. Without it, you're just another turmeric supplement making the same claims everyone else makes. Remember my framework on marketplace sophistication? When the market has heard the promise before, you can't just expand the promise. You need to expand the mechanism. You need to show them the why behind the what. That's what the advertorial does. It gives you the space and the format to teach the mechanism in a way that builds trust instead of triggering skepticism. So what does this mean for your supplement brand? If you're spending money on cold traffic, Facebook, TikTok, cold Instagram audiences, and you're sending it straight to product pages, you're leaving 60 to 70% of potential revenue on the table. Not because your ad is bad, not because your product is bad, but because you're asking cold traffic to behave like warm traffic. And they can't. Their psychology won't let them. The advertorial isn't optional anymore. It's not a nice to have. It's not an advanced tactic you'll get to later. It's how you build trust with skeptical buyers in 2025 and beyond. It's how you introduce your unique mechanism in a way that doesn't trigger sales resistance. It's how you move prospects through the 4 buying forces in the right order. It's the difference between 1% conversion and 4% conversion on the same traffic with the same ad spend. Let me put some numbers on this so you can see what this actually means for your business. Let's say you're spending $10,000 a month on Facebook ads. You're getting 5,000 clicks at $2 per click. Standard stuff. With the broken funnel, ad straight to product page, you convert at 1%. That's 50 customers. If your average order value is $60, that's $3,000 in revenue. You spent $10,000 to make $3,000. You're losing $7,000 a month. That's not sustainable. With the advertorial funnel, same traffic, same ad spend, you convert at 3.5%. That's 175 customers. At $60 average order value, that's $10,500 in revenue. You spent $10,000 to make $10,500. You're profitable on the front end. Now you can scale. Same traffic, same ad. The only difference is what happens after the click. That's the power of understanding traffic psychology. Now, I want to be clear about something. Adding an advertorial doesn't mean your product page doesn't matter. It absolutely matters. You still need strong product pages. You still need good copy, good images, good social proof, good offers. But the product page works better when the traffic arriving is warm instead of cold, when they've been educated, when they trust you, when they believe in the mechanism, when they have hope that this will work. The advertorial warms them up. Then the product page closes them. It's not one or the other. It's both, in the right order, for the right traffic temperature. So here's what I want you to take away from this. If your ads are getting clicks but not sales, stop blaming the ad. Stop firing agencies. Stop testing 47 different creatives, hoping one of them magically works. Look at what happens after the click. Are you sending cold traffic, people who just discovered you exist, straight to a page that assumes they're ready to buy? That's not a traffic problem. That's not a creative problem. That's a psychology problem. Because cold traffic and warm traffic don't buy the same way, and supplements don't sell the same way as shoes or phone cases or coffee mugs. Cold traffic needs education before they need a buy button. They need trust before they need testimonials. They need hope in your mechanism before they need hope in your 60-day guarantee. The advertorial is how you bridge that gap. It's how you take someone from, I have this problem, to I understand the root cause, to this mechanism makes sense, to I want to try this solution. And here's the thing. This isn't some cutting-edge new tactic that nobody's doing. Onnit's been doing this for years. It's how they built a $28 million supplement business. The brands winning right now in the supplement space, they all understand this. They're not the brands with the best ads. They're the brands who understand that the page after the click matters more than the ad itself. So take a look at your funnel. Right now, today, if you're sending cold traffic straight to product pages, you've got work to do. Build the bridge, create the advertorial, respect the psychology, understand that trust, belief, desire, and hope need to be built in the right order. You can't skip steps. You can't assume cold traffic already has what only warm traffic has earned through multiple touch points. The advertorial is where you build those forces for cold traffic, where you move them from skeptical stranger to educated prospect, where you transform them from someone who clicked out of curiosity into someone who's ready to become a customer. That's how you turn cold traffic into revenue. That's how you make your ad spend actually work. That's how you scale. Build the bridge.